Junkyard. What is going on, everybody? My name is JYJ Junkyard James, aka J Nice. Welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. We are powered by W Energy. Go use the code at the bottom of the screen there, W.GG. Use code Beyond the Yard and save 10% off of your purchase of some of their energy products. My favorite is this right here, the strawberry banana canned energy. I think they're out of stock. It's so popular. But try out some of their other things. They have the powder, like the protein powder mix. That's the energy powder, and other things there. Use the code Beyond the Yard. Save some money for yourself. Help support the podcast, and we would greatly appreciate it. Today's episode, I'm going to be honest. It's a bit of a rant. Before I get into the rant, though, one last thing. Go to the website, junkyardmediagroup.com. Check out all of the links there. Check out our merch shop. Support the podcast. Follow us on social media. Subscribe on YouTube. Like this. Share it with everyone. Share with your wrestling friends. Let's try and build a community here. Join our Discord, and it would be very appreciated. Let's get into it. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking today. This wasn't an episode that I was planning on doing. This wasn't something that I have a whole lot of notes written down on, or a lot of anything that, like, it's an unplanned episode because of something that I read yesterday. And to be honest, if I would have recorded yesterday, I probably wouldn't have made a lot of sense, because I was just trying to understand what was being insinuated. But let's just say this. AEW, in the last couple weeks, attendance numbers at their shows have gone up. They've just pulled off a really good pay-per-view. Their ratings on their show has gone up week after week over the last several weeks. So obviously the machine on the other side has to try and throw a wrench in the plans of AEW trying to move on and grow and get better, because you had Eric Bischoff just going after Toni Storm, talking about she's not prime time. Like, Eric Bischoff knows prime time women's wrestling. What did Eric Bischoff ever do for women's wrestling? Let me just say that. You have Jim Cornette doing his shit, talking about, I think he said in one of his episodes this week that Kyle O'Reilly, I think he was insinuating that he was, like, mentally retarded. I think that's what he was trying to get at. I don't know. Jim Cornette doesn't make a whole lot of sense when he talks. So he tries to get tongue-in-cheek, like, answers to things. He just doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you're listening to Jim Cornette, I don't know if I can, with all due respect, if you listen to Jim Cornette, I don't know if I can respect your opinion as a wrestling fan, because Jim Cornette's just the lowest of the low in terms of pro wrestling content creators. But I think what blew the roof off of everything is Ethan Page. He's obviously been given the script that Jade Cargill was given when she came to WWE. Oh, it's just so much more professional in the WWE when he goes on the Talkin' Shop podcast and says this: I went from somewhere that was so chaotic and unorganized to a place that, I'm still learning because I'm still new here, but this is a machine and it's incredible. It feels good to not feel like I have to do everything myself. To have people that want to see me succeed is kind of mind-blowing. And the insinuation here is that AEW is just some like unorganized indie show that just, there's no structure and there's no this and there's no that, and it's just a bunch of fucking lies. And you know AEW is doing good when these attacks come from every angle, and it always happens. It always happens, and funny enough, it usually always happens from WWE right before WWE has a premium live event, pay-per-view, because they have Money in the Bank tonight, and tomorrow they have NXT Heat Wave, I think is what it's called. I don't from Toronto, Canada. So when I think of Heat Wave, I think of Toronto, Canada. But anyways, I want to give my thoughts on what Ethan Page has to say. First off, I want to say Ethan Page has every right to feel this way, to feel like he fits in better and being a cog in the machine than rather than being an individual, being allowed to create your own gimmick. He has every right to feel as if someone else can write my promos and tell me where I got to stand and tell me my cues and allow me to rehearse and get it perfect so that when I'm out there on live television, everything just is seamless, then that fits me. And if I don't have to take the extra steps to get myself over, if they can get me over and all I got to do is say the lines or do the moves, I don't have to actually put in any work to get over. If Ethan Page feels like that's the best thing for him, then more power to him. But now we understand why he never got over in AEW. Because he didn't want to put in the extra time and effort like Orange Cassidy did, and like Tony Storm has done, and like countless other people, Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay, have done to get themselves over in AEW. Because Ethan Page has had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity in AEW. And they've all fell flat, and you got to wonder, like, how much is it the lack of opportunity per se, and how much is it that you're not making the best of your opportunity? You were in a tag team with Scorpio, and you could have been the most dominant heel tag team, but you came off as cringy, and it didn't work. And maybe that's partially on Tony Khan for trying to book MMA guys with them. I'm not going to say that Tony Khan doesn't have any blame with how Ethan Page was booked. But I'm not going to say Tony Khan is solely responsible for misbooking Ethan Page, especially when he says it feels good to not feel like I have to do everything myself. Why don't you want to put in the work? Why don't you want to give the extra effort? Create good promos, come up with good ideas for your story, for your gimmick. But to have other people do it for you, it makes sense. And so this is the stark difference that I've been saying for forever now, that there is a stark difference between AEW and WWE, and it's the way that they go to business. And for all the WWE fans, they want AEW to go to business in the same exact way and basically be a replica of WWE. But why would they? Why should AEW go to business in the same exact fashion that WWE goes to business? It does no good for AEW, because they're already, if they were to go to business in the same exact way, they already have the time disadvantage. They already have the name recognition disadvantage. So just doing the same thing, they would never be successful. They would always be seen as a replica of WWE. But AEW goes to business in a different way. They attract different people than WWE attracts, because that's how they become more successful. They won't be more successful appealing to the same people that WWE appeals to. Because most times when you have option A and option B, and option A is viewed as the more superior thing, but option B is just a replica or the same product, just maybe not well known. Right? So you think of like Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola. If Pepsi were to do the same exact thing that Coke were to do, and if Coca-Cola were to do the same exact thing as Pepsi were to do, there's no change in the market, right? That's why Coca-Cola appeals to certain demographics differently than Pepsi-Cola does. That's why Coca-Cola creates different products that appeal to different people, and Pepsi creates their own products to appeal to a different group of people. That's why Monster and Red Bull don't do business the same way. That's why Prime Energy and Gatorade and Body Armor, they go to business in a different way and try to attract different people. Because if you're trying to appeal to the same demographic, to the same group of people as the company that you're up against in that industry, you're never going to win, because if it's the same thing, you already have the disadvantage. You can't take a loyal customer and try to test their loyalty by offering them the same product, just in different labeling. That's why people prefer like Doritos over the Walmart brand. Great value of the same thing. It's basically the same product, but the labeling, the way they go to business, it's the same thing. And if price is the issue, then maybe you go Great Value if you're okay with not having the name brand. But Great Value is not trying to compete with Doritos. They're just trying to offer an alternative, right? And I don't know if I fully agree that AEW is trying to compete with WWE. They may be the Great Value, right, of the wrestling industry. Just an alternative, a product that is essentially the same in concept, but different in delivery, different in scale, different in so maybe at the end of the day, there are going to be wrestlers who are very much like Ethan Page, and they just want to show up, do what they got to do, say the lines they got to say, and go home. Do their job and go home. Collect the check. If the machine can get them over, then the machine can get them over. And it is a machine. I don't know if you've seen Maven's videos, but it's like you have to get here at a certain time, and there's like this manual of things that you have to do during your day, hours before the show even begins. And I'm sure AEW kind of has the same, but it's a little more lax, right? It's not a machine. WWE is literally a conveyor belt. They push out product. They have writing teams that write promos, and they have production teams that... It's a soap opera that's on live television. It's a live soap opera. And if Ethan Page wants to do the live soap opera, then good for him. No one's telling him he can't. But it makes sense why he never got over in AEW. Because he just didn't fit the style. AEW, to say that AEW is chaotic and unorganized because they don't fit your style, I think is unnecessary to say. Because if it was chaotic and unorganized, it wouldn't attract the type of talent that AEW attracts. The Will Ospreays and the Okadas and all of New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ricochet. He's coming soon. It's almost confirmed that he's coming. And Dijak, wants to go to AEW. He has expressed interest in going to AEW. If it was unorganized and chaotic, you wouldn't attract these top-level talent to want to either re-sign or stay. There is some structure there. They just allow more creative freedom. But where there's creative freedom, there also is creative responsibility, right? You have the freedom to do what you want, to create your own gimmick, to get yourself over. But with it is the responsibility of actually putting in the work. If you're not willing to put in the work, then don't bitch and moan when you don't have your spot on the card. And so I say all of this to say this. I don't really have any ill will towards Ethan Page. It's just a little frustrating because, like, Tony Khan said a year or so ago, to be AEW is to be under attack and to be under constant attack. And, like, here it is. Again, another former wrestler trying to, take a cheap shot at the company. Jay did it. Lexis King has done it. Ethan Page has done it. And where have any of them gone? Jade's mid-card and SmackDown trying to fight for the SmackDown women's titles. When, at her debut, they were like, oh, she's going to, like, main event WrestleMania one day. And she's, like, not good. She hasn't really progressed. And so I just don't understand why. And it's kind of funny. I saw a tweet, I can't remember who said it, that former AEW wrestlers love to say that AEW is just unorganized. And former WWE stars line up to go to AEW. So it's like, where's the middle road? And I've always been this way. WWE has their own style, and they should work to fit that style. And AEW has their style. There should not be this idea that WWE and AEW should be completely the same. In fact, I think AEW should be completely opposite, attract the complete opposite base than what WWE should attract, because that's how you win fans that don't watch wrestling. If you're just appealing to the people that watch WWE, well, why would they stop watching WWE to watch you? You got to do something different to get them to say, you know what? This is different than WWE, and I like it. Therefore, I'm going to watch it. You can't do the same bullshit that WWE does and expect. And that's why I'm such a just harsh critic on the learning tree, the Chris Jericho gimmick. Can I tell you what it feels like to me? It feels like Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin in, 2019? Like, that's what that gimmick feels like to me. It's awful, dude. It's like one of the worst parts of every AEW show is when Chris Jericho shows up. And every time I hear, I'm the learning tree, I verbally scream, why the fuck? Every single week. Can we have a week when the man's not on the show? I hate it, dude. I just can't stand it. It's a WWE gimmick, and it's not winning anybody over. It's not doing anything. It's not a positive segment. In fact, I think people turn the TV off when he shows up. And so, leave that kind of stuff to WWE. AEW, they're building the motto, where the best wrestle. Let's put that sports entertainment shit outside and let's just focus on the wrestling. You can tell a story in the ring. Daniel Garcia and MJF, they didn't really have a great gimmick. They didn't have a good promo to set up their storyline. But am I fucking invested in the storyline of Daniel Garcia and MJF? And MJF's heel turn, that he's back to where he was prior to Adam Cole turning on him? MJF is just this schmuck dude. He has heat. He has heel heat. And people say that a plant in the visual was MJF was about to fucking fight a fan. And he could have been a plant. I don't know. But that's the visual. MJF has NWO level heat. He got booed out of the building on Wednesday. And he shows up tonight at Collision. He's going to get booed out of the building tonight. And so let's just focus on that. AEW, they're so good when they focus on that. Their numbers go up. But it doesn't fit everybody. That style doesn't fit everybody. And so if Ethan Page felt like it wasn't his fit, fine. Go. Leave. Go to WWE where they do everything for you and they tell you where to be at what time and what cue to hit and when to put your hand up and when to sit down. If that's your style, then do it. But don't sit here and say that AEW didn't give you opportunities. Don't say that it's unorganized and chaotic. Just because, they expect more of you to get yourself over. They don't have the infrastructure that WWE has through a 40-year name advantage to be able to get you over with a snap of their finger like WWE does. And so you have to put in a little bit more work. That's typically how startup companies work, is you do a lot of grunt work in the beginning and hope to enjoy the benefits at the end. Sorry, Ethan. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done to get yourself over in AEW. And those that are willing to put in the work do well. And those that aren't willing to put in the work fail. Usually. Look at Toni Storm. No one really knew what her gimmick was when it first started. There were questions on, what is this? Why are we changing Toni Storm's gimmick? It's the hottest thing in women's wrestling right now. Look at Mariah May. Her dedication to the craft. Look at Orange Cassidy. He took this dumb comedy gimmick, and everybody loves him now. A little bit of extra work, a little bit more than what's expected of you can go a long way, especially in the wrestling industry. And so I'll end it there. I don't want to make this a long episode, but I'll talk to y'all next Wednesday. K-Dog will be back next Thursday. I'm sorry, and we'll have our regularly scheduled episodes again. I might do these from time to time because I have Saturdays off now, so I'll be able to record them and just kind of rant a little bit. They're fun. But until next Thursday, y'all, we'll see you on another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. Make sure to check out junkyardmediagroup.com. Go to w.gg, use code BeyondTheYard. Get 10% off your purchase there. See y'all next Thursday. Y'all have a good one.